Homelessness. Definitely not the most ideal aspect of a city. One of the many impacts homeless have on a city is the fire hazard encampments can pose. Taking a broader view, poverty in general increases crime, making cities less safe. However, homeless encampments pose a unique danger to those living in northern Nevada, as many homeless encampments are set along the Truckee River, one of the most prominent sources of drinking water here. The garbage that these encampments leave behind is immense, and it pollutes the Truckee River. In December of 2019, the Reno City Council voted to hire CITE to help remove waste from the Truckee River with a 6-month contract costing over $250,000. However, since the end of 2019, the amount of unsheltered homeless has only drastically increased due to the COVID-19 pandemic. Something needs to be done to get as many people out of homelessness as possible before signs of chronic homelessness begin appearing, as then it becomes much harder to reintegrate people back into normal living. To see what can be done to reduce Reno's homeless population, we need to get a better understanding of how our already existing programs for helping the homeless failed. And going to the City of Reno's website with a list of resources for the homeless, let's just say it doesn't look too great. Let me clarify that when saying this, I am not impugning any of the groups on this list. I'm sure these groups do plenty of work in an attempt to try to help as many people as possible. I was even able to get in contact with a few of them and ask them some questions. What I'm about to say should not be taken as me impugning these organizations, but instead criticizing the City of Reno for not allocating more resources to helping the homeless. Taking a look at the City of Reno's website, we can see that they list 3 city initiatives, these being Clean and Safe, Reno Works, and HAND. The Clean and Safe program cleans up after homeless encampments to prevent pollution while doing outreach to connect the homeless to shelters. Reno Works is a 12-week program to help people experiencing homelessness develop skills that will allow them to re-enter the workforce. Upon completion, graduates also receive housing assistance. The Housing and Neighborhood Development Division, or HAND, do a variety of things to create affordable housing. There is also a list of regional initiatives, one of which is the recently built CARES campus. The Nevada CARES campus was built in May of 2021 to accommodate men and couples and is the largest shelter in Reno, accommodating 604 people maximum. This shelter has come with its own problems, though. The shelter's services have degraded quickly, such as the shelter's showers and restrooms, which have been closed as the material it was built out of wasn't able to accommodate so many people. Up to a dozen calls for police or emergency services come from the shelter each day, which prompted the creation of nursing services on site. Additionally, the safety and security of campus has been questioned. The original shelter capacity was meant to be around 900 before it was cut to 2/3 of that. Speaking of shelter capacity, let's take a closer look into that. Washoe County has a website that measures how many beds CARES Campus and Our Place have, and how many of those are filled. Our Place is another shelter that is where women coming to CARES Campus get referred to. Looking over this shelter census, we find that both facilities are almost always at full capacity. Reno's point-in-time count found that the amount of people in emergency and transitional shelter has remained relatively stable, while the amount of unsheltered people has drastically increased from 2020 to 2021. This increase was most likely caused by the COVID-19 pandemic. However, it's not all bad news, as the most recent point-in-time count of 2022 has shown that a large chunk of the homeless population now has shelter. The point-in-time count document itself says that this increase in sheltered homeless can be attributed to the constructions of the CARES campus. However, as we saw from the shelter census, CARES campus is often at full capacity. Additionally, homelessness hasn't decreased over the past couple of years, but has instead increased. What has been done for the homeless has been the bare minimum, giving them a place to live with the bare essentials while they try to find a permanent place to live and reintegrate into the workforce. By getting those living in shelters back to their own homes, new vacant spaces would appear in the shelter for those who still haven't found emergency housing, and would strain shelters less. To see what people thought of what should be done to solve homelessness in Reno, I conducted a very unprofessional survey. A proposal I saw commonly was to fund homeless shelters more or improve them in some way. While this is definitely helpful, this limits the kind of help that people will receive, as it would depend on shelter occupancy and to what extent their care management can help. Another one was creating affordable housing, with some proposed ways to do so being rent control, more regulations, or rent hikes, or just development. A proposal that drastically differed from most of what I saw was increasing policing of areas where the homeless are often located, specifically downtown Reno. It's possible that this would decrease the amount of homeless there, but I have serious doubts as most services that help the homeless are located there. Some may argue that policing the homeless more will encourage them to get their life back together as living on the streets becomes harder, But I would argue that few people want to be homeless already, and instead it is a matter of them being unable to secure jobs, as many of these people are missing crucial documents, something that outreach programs try to fix, or holding down a job while having no place to call home, being incredibly difficult. Whether or not you agree with anything I have just said, it is important to advocate for what you believe in. Gerrymandering and a two-party system have made the ideas of everyday people less and less represented in our government, but the only solution to this is more political participation. Start writing to local politicians, get involved in your community, and have your ideas heard. Thanks for watching.